It's been nearly 7 years, but it's here. An all-women's PLE WWE Evolution 2 taking place this Sunday in Atlanta, the All-State Arena. We're going to go through match card and predictions time today. Let's go through the match card quickly. We have got a fatal four-way for the Women's Tag Team Championships. Judgment Day members Roxanne, Perez, and Raquel Rodriguez defending against Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, the Kabuki Warriors, Ruca, and Zaria. We mentioned NXT involvement. The NXT Women's Championship will be on the line. Jacy Jayne defending against Jordynne Grace. And there'll be a Battle Royal. It's tradition after the first Evolution show. There'll be one on this show as well. The winner of this Battle Royal will get a Women's Championship match at Clash in Paris. We've got a no-holds-barred match between Jade, Cargill, and the Money in the Bank holder, Naomi. For the WWE Women's Championship, we've got Tiffany Stratton defending against Trish Stratus. For the WWE Women's World Championship, we've got Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley. And, well, it's my main event, ladies and gentlemen. It probably isn't the main event of the show, but for the Women's Intercontinental Championship, we've got Becky Lynch defending against former champion Liv Valkyria and Bayley. It is myself, Steve, and NXT Steve in a hot seat. Welcome to the video, everybody. It's good to have you here. Like I say, if you enjoy what we do, then make sure to support us nice and early. Get in your predictions in the comments section. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. But NXT Steve, welcome to the video. What are your excitement levels for Evolution 2?
I'm going to probably say about 6 or 7. It should be a fairly good card. Battle Royals are not exactly the most exciting thing to be looking forward to. There isn't a lot of build with most of these matches, but what is there is pretty good, especially, like you said, the IC title, and even for me, the NXT Women's Championship, because obviously going forward, whoever wins that match is going to take on Masha Slamovich, and there's going to be a title for title at Slammiversary. So that's something to look forward to as well. I think it's going to be one of the big talking points coming out this weekend.
Yeah, that's a really good point you make there. And obviously, yeah, things have implications for other shows going forward, not just necessarily WWE, which is quite fun as well. I'm going to be honest with you. When I talk about the talent, the theme of Evolution, all women's PLE, my excitement level is a 10. There's such a talented roster, so many great performers, and I know with the matches we've got on this show, they're going to deliver and absolutely kill it. But when it comes to WWE Creative, I'm like a 3. They have not give a toss about this show politely because where is the storytelling with a lot of the matches? Yes, the women's triple threat match that has had build since WrestleMania. You could argue Io and Rhea goes back a few months, but it's been quite cold for a long time. They've just picked up the story in the last couple of weeks after it's been left for about 2 or 3 months. And I mean, politely, to pick your challenges for this show just seems like a very lazy way of booking for me when it comes to Io and for Tiffany Stratton, in my personal opinion. But like I said, extremely talented performers. I think WWE has dropped the ball potentially when it comes to Evolution by not doing a more stellar job on the booking, in my personal opinion. I think ticket sales have shown it as well. That's been really sad to see with the ticket sales, the fact that it's not performing quite well this weekend.
That as well, and I think didn't they change the date of it? And obviously, I think they've changed location where it was going to be. And yeah, this kind of seems to be just one of them thrown together shows that's like almost feels like the build has been like a Saturday night's main event where there's just been no real care put into it, which is a shame. But like you said, hopefully the show outlives the expectations, and you know, I mean, it goes on to be a hell of a lot better going forward, and like there's more stories and stuff to come out of it.
Absolutely. Look, there's no secret. WWE this weekend is putting on Saturday night's main event, Evolution NXT Great American Bash. There's one reason we're getting 3 shows in one weekend. They're looking to counter AEW All In. Now, let's be honest, it doesn't look like it's overly succeeded because I don't think hardly any of the shows have sold tickets to the way that I think WWE would have liked. Do you think that this is the reason that we have got Evolution? Because WWE have said, well, people have wanted this show for a long time to make a return. We want to counter AEW. This is the reason we're going to give it. And because of the fact necessarily with so much wrestling, because we've said previously, WWE right now with their PLEs, it's quantity over quality. Do you think that perhaps it's one too many shows and that WWE are actually going to probably not listen to the fans moving forward? Is Evolution in trouble of being happening a 3rd time if ticket sales are as bad as what has been reported by the likes of WrestleTix, for example?
Not really. I mean, I do believe Great American Bash is the same day. So if it hadn't have been this, it was going to be... No, sorry. Saturday night's main event was going to be on anyway. Great American Bash is on this weekend as well. I think it's just more a case of, I don't know. Like I think that there is enough talent on that roster that they could easily do an Evolution again. No worries. I just think that, look, everyone's been saying it. There's just been too much WWE recently. It feels like every other week there is a pay-per-view or a Saturday night's main event. There's just so much going on, and it's almost just like they're shooting themselves in the foot because where they're putting so much on. Prime example, this weekend, there's no build for anything on the show apart from like 2 matches. And you're like, well, just stop putting on so many shows. I know the whole thing is about making money because you're a business, but look, at the end of the day, if they're going to put it up against AEW, ultimately, yes, it probably will suffer in terms of viewership, but I don't think it's going to be a case of that whatever they put on is going to affect the pay-per-view in itself going ahead, because it's not the first time we've had a WWE pay-per-view go against AEW. So I can't see a reason why they wouldn't do it again.
I really hope that they do Evolution again. If the ticket sales have not been sold or been so good for this time, I really hope that doesn't detract WWE from doing Evolution a third time. Because for me, if you book the show properly, they've got the best talented roster out there for a women's division in pro wrestling. They can put on a killer show and they can get people invested. And for me, if they don't want to do Evolution, I have another idea of what I could suggest out there for you. And that is, well, we've always said the Royal Rumble should go to 2 nights. Could they not do like night 1, an all women's show, night 2, an all men's show? Could that be a way that they could do it as well moving forward?
Yeah, but the only problem is that they've been doing all men's shows for years, so I don't really think it makes a difference. It's a case of, I think for me, it has to just establish itself in the calendar year. And obviously, we've had not having one for 7 years. You're kind of just going in blind, and it's like, right, they have to find a spot for this show every year. I mean, I'm sure there's like a Women's History Month or something. You could easily put this on that month. Do you know what I mean? There are ample places to put this card on and the show on. It's just finding that right day. And then obviously, like I said, if they do it next year, they can build towards it and be more consistent with it.
I really hope so, because I think it's a great shout, by the way, of just finding its place in the year. And I mean, the thing is, it can be so inspirational. It can get, so many young sort of, female viewers that are inspired by these women that put on these fantastic matches, that are champions. And we could be then hopefully seeing viewers that want to become women's champions of the future. That's what this is all about. So hopefully that's what we get in the future when it comes to this with Evolution, because it's something that I think many fans wanted for years from all demographics. So we're glad that it is back here. We just hope the WWE will take it a bit seriously. But hey, mini rant out of the way. Let's focus on what is going to be a very talented roster, having a very talented card, and hopefully a show that's going to knock it out of the park. What is the match you're most looking forward to?
Apart from, like I said, the triple threat and the NXT one, I'm actually looking forward to the Battle Royal, because I'm hoping we get some surprises in there. And I expect people like Nikki Bella and stuff to be in there. And that's the other thing we got to mention, actually, is that Nikki Bella Liv, I presume, was going to be a match, or the Bellas versus Liv and Raquel would have been a match on this card. So there is only one story that they've unfortunately lost due to injury. But yeah, the Battle Royal itself, hopefully we get a few surprises. I would love to see a Paige return. Fingers crossed. You never know, hopefully.
That would be really awesome to see, whether it's in the Battle Royal, whether it's just in some placement of the show, special guest, whatever it could be. But no, you make a good point as well with the unfortunateness of the Liv Morgan injury. Came very a bad time, it seems, because obviously they were building, like you said, something with Nikki Bella as well. And Nikki Bella now is going to be in the Battle Royal, but that is one story that WWE, I think, had high focus on, was going to be a focal point of this show, but sadly it wasn't to be. But let's get into the matches. And you mentioned about the Women's Tag Team Championships, because Liv Morgan, no longer Women's Tag Team Champion, Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce were deciding, well, what should we do with the Women's Tag Team Championship? So what they decided to do, after a suggestion from Finn Balor, is to keep it in the Judgment Day, and it moved to new Judgment Day member Roxanne Perez. That's right. So it's Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez defending against a team from Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. So from Raw, we've got the reunited Kabuki Warriors, Kairi, Sane, and Asuka. From SmackDown, we've got frenemies, Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. And from NXT, we've got friends, probably soon to be enemies, Zaria and Ruca. So yeah, I mean, this is interesting. It's it's been thrown together. There's been one qualifying match out of the three teams that have earned a spot in this match, which is Bliss and Flair. I mean, you could argue Sane got the spot here for the Kabuki Warriors by defeating Roxanne Perez on Monday Night Raw. So Ruca and Zaria, I didn't see anything on NXT that suggested they got a qualifying match for this, but they are probably the most established team down in NXT, so kind of does make the most sense. Look, taking the creative out of this, this I think will be a lot of fun. 8 talented performers, one match. How do you see it playing out?
Look, my hope is that my early prediction is that I'm going to go with the Judgment Day retaining, because ultimately the story is that there has to be a wedge driven between Liv, Roxanne, and Raquel. So for me, hopefully, I'm going to say that the Judgment Day retain, but Charlotte Flair exists as a person, and we kind of know what Charlotte Flair does. Charlotte Flair gets booked in a match. Charlotte Flair normally wins, especially if it's for championships. I think I remember seeing as well with the bookies, they're actually favourites to win it, just because of, again, it probably being Charlotte Flair. But I imagine this will be fun. Again, it's hard to get excited about a division where they've just put nothing into it, and like the biggest story in the women's tag team division is the champions are, do you know what I mean? One of them's injured, so there's a replacement at the minute. But I think ultimately for me, the story is that Judgment Day retain these, because we have to get Raquel and Roxanne on the same page, which will then ultimately drive a wedge between Liv and Raquel.
I love the storytelling because, yeah, like you say, I agree with you on it. There's one or two ways this is going to go. Obviously, Bliss and Flair have qualified for this match. They are not friends, really, but Bliss is trying to convince Flair that this is a good idea moving forward. If they win the Women's Tag Team Championships, that keeps that going. But it's 2 single stars as tag team champions moving forward. But like you said, on the other side of things, if Roxanne Perez is going to be a member of the Judgment Day, is now going to prove herself, and Finn Balor's going to get the way he wishes things, like you say, Perez and Rodriguez need to retain here. And, I mean, that would be quite interesting because, I mean, ultimately, you can get Raquel on side with Roxanne. They start teaming. Like you say, you can cause the wedge with Liv Morgan when she returns. It's not the only person that Perez can cause a wedge in the Judgment Day with Liv Morgan. Dominic Mysterio is another one. Those are the two that need convincing. JD McDonough and Finn seem to be on the same page with Roxanne already. So I think when Liv Morgan returns, she is going to be a babyface. I think she will be the one that will break away. She's basically going to be the Rhea Ripley of this story. She's going to have herself thrown out of Judgment Day in the way that she was done when Rhea was out injured. Now Liv is out injured. It's going to be the same thing again. Chicken tendies, doesn't matter who they come from when it is Dominic Mysterio. So yeah, I think that you make a lot of sense. There is a question mark for me here of which of the two teams is going to win, but I think it would be more fun if Bliss and Flair have a bit of a journey. I'm not saying they shouldn't win these tag team championships. I'm just saying, wouldn't it be more fun if it wasn't here? I
mean, ultimately, I reckon that could be the goal. I mean, I think Flair and Bliss could win these in the long term, but I think that if you at least get Raquel and Roxanne to retain here, there's an opportunity to do that as like a normal tag match later down the line, where eventually they lose those tag team titles. I mean, for me, I think Zaria or Soul is probably going to take the pin in this match. Probably Zaria, because Zaria is, I don't know, like she's the Soul's a champion. You know what I mean? Zaria's kind of on the pecking order. Zaria is the lowest. If it's not Zaria, I would have said Kairi Sane. But I think with Kabuki Warriors being an established tag team and have history together, and the fact they're both on main roster, unfortunately, I'm going to say Zaria. But yeah, I think it's a match that they could easily do again down the line, whether it be SummerSlam, Survivor Series, whatever, where they can win them titles. But I think for me, the Judgment Day story is just ultimately is a much bigger thing than those women's tag team titles at the minute.
Absolutely. And to be fair, Judgment Day now hold all the gold. Like every member has championship gold at this present moment. Yeah. And do you know what? I think I'm going to agree with you. I think Bliss and Flair win this at a later date, and I think that date is going to be in MetLife Stadium, a 2-night SummerSlam. There's an excuse to actually put a women's tag team championship match on the card there. So yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I will say Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez can retain those championships. And let's be honest, the odds are stacked against them, so sometimes that works in the champion's favor.
Yeah, definitely.
There we are. That's our picks there for that match. But feel free to join in with your predictions in the comments below as well. Let's say if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, share with a friend, subscribe as well. But in the meantime, we're going to move on to the NXT Women's Championship taking place here at Evolution. We have got Jacy Jayne of Fatal Influence defending against Jordynne Grace. This will be 24 hours after the show that will be taking place, which is known as the Great American Bash. These two will be involved in a tag team match there. Of course, Jacy Jayne will be teaming with Fallon Henley. Jordynne Grace will be teaming with Blake Monroe. My suggestion is that I think the winner of the Great American Bash tag team match is going to be the loser on this show. You know, WWE loves a bit of 50-50 booking. So it's kind of a coin toss here. It's kind of what you think for either show is going to go down, I think, when it comes to prediction here.
Yeah, ultimately there is that to look at, but Blake Monroe exists as a person, and I think Blake Monroe will have some form to play with this match when it comes to Evolution anyway, like whether it be a case of Jacy Jayne wins at Jacy Jayne and Fallon Henley win at Great American Bash, and then Monroe ends. This is what I'm going to go with, is that I think that Monroe and Jordynne Grace, like spoiler alert, I think they're going to lose at Great American Bash. Then we're going to get into Evolution, and I think Monroe is going to cost Jordynne Grace this match, because I can't see Jordynne Grace taking another loss in an NXT Women's Championship match. I think that way you're giving Jacy Jayne the opportunity to go and face Masha Slamovich, and I think Masha Slamovich goes on to win both titles at Slammiversary. As much as and how great a Slamovich Jordynne Grace match will be, I think Jacy Jayne needs the rub. I think Jacy Jayne's been put in there as this interim champion, and I think people are just expecting it to hold it until Jordynne Grace takes it off of her. But I honestly think that I'd rather have Jacy Jayne in the position to lose to Masha Slamovich, and then Jordynne Grace and Masha Slamovich have a series of matches that are absolutely killer. And I just think if you're going to do that, you've then got Blake Monroe essentially interferes in this match or costs Grace this match. Grace and Monroe then have a story going forward for the foreseeable future before eventually you can put that title on Jordynne Grace. And then that way, Slamovich can have a run with both championships defending across both brands. And do you know what I mean? Slamovich gets something out of it. TNA gets something out of it. Jordynne Grace eventually goes up and picks up that NXT Women's title off of Slamovich somewhere later down the line towards the end of the year.
I love all of this. I'm going to be honest, that's not my prediction, but you might have swayed me. Yeah, it's so good. I'm swayed.
It's been a while since we've done this.
It has been a while since we've done this, but I also feel like I haven't really taken in consideration about Slammiversary. And like you say, 2 titles on the line. And unfortunately, my head always thinks that, well, WWE always wins. Trick Williams is the current TNA World Champion. So why can't someone else from NXT also hold the Knockouts Championship? It wouldn't surprise me, especially as Jordynne Grace has done it before. I'm going to say that I agree with you with Great American Bash. I think there's going to be, as Grace and Monroe are not a established team, I think there's going to be a bit of miscommunication somewhere. The numbers advantage as well for Fatal Women's will pick up the victory. But I think then the following night, I think that it will work that Grace will pick up the victory. However, I do feel that after that, that's when Blake Monroe will have an issue with Jordynne Grace, because ultimately Blake will say, well, Grace has something I want, and you cost me in my first official match in NXT. I didn't win, and it was because of you. I think Grace is the one that takes the pinfall at Great American Bash as well. So for that reason, I will say that Grace will win here. But what that means for TNA, I'm not sure.
So you could still do it where you have Fallon Henley and Jacy Jayne pick up the win at American Bash. You can then have Grace win at Evolution via DQ. So essentially, Monroe gets involved, attacks Jacy Jayne. She's still going to win. If she gets involved, if she attacks Jordynne Grace still technically wins the match, but doesn't win the title. So it kind of still works. So yeah, I know I was getting that.
Oh, could be fun. I'm going to go for Grace to win the title though, but I'll give you one better. I'll say that Monroe costs Grace in TNA. And that's how Masha wins the title. It's a hot potato week, but it would be interesting that Grace gets the big moment at Evolution, but can't keep the title for more than a cup of coffee.
Because yeah, like I said, anything can happen with that one. There's so many possibilities. That's why I think that one's probably got the most interesting outcome, like going forward, because that one is ultimately going to affect 2 different companies, 2 different brands, 2 different shows. So there's a lot to come out of that one.
Absolutely, indeed. Well, we'll move on in the meantime. But so you're going for Jacy Jayne to retain.
Jacy Jayne to retain, but Jordynne Grace wins the match.
Interesting. And I will go for Grace to win the match and win the title. Fascinating stuff indeed. Well, we'll move on in the meantime, and we're going to talk about the battle royal that will take place. We had one, of course, on the first Evolution. We've got one on the second. The winner of this battle royal will get a women's championship match of their choice at Clash in Paris, which is quite fun. Host of names on NXT were given who will be in this match. Obviously, we don't know all of them, but we know Nikki Bella will be a part of this match because obviously the match with Liv Morgan is off the table. We know that Stephanie Vaquer will be in this, Julia, Zelina Vega. We've got NXT stars as well, including Kalani Jordan, Lash Legend are going to be in there. Jada Parker also has got the nod. Trying to remember some of the other ones. We got Izzy James.
I've got the list here. At the minute,
the
there's 14 confirmed names in Ivy Nile, Stephanie Vaquer, Nia Jax, Nikki Bella, Natalia, Maxine Dupree, Kalani Jordan, Jada Parker, Lola Vice, Lash Legend, Izzy Dame, Tatum Paxley, Zelina Vega, and Julia.
What a lineup. What a lineup. I feel the final three. I think no surprise to anyone with that lineup, hearing Vaquer, Julia, and Nikki Bella probably be the final three.
Possibly, but then again, if there's still names to be announced, I wouldn't be surprised if you get someone like, for me, like I said, a returning Paige I think would be great. If you get Paige in there at the last four, she doesn't have to win it, but I think getting her in, having a good show, ultimately will then build to something. I think possibly we get a TNA star in there. So hopefully we get someone like Ash by Elegance or an M by Elegance. Do you know what I mean? There's a few TNA superstars you could easily put in there that I think should get a shout. But yeah, this one is the same as picking a winner for the Rumble. There is no real easy choice. I mean, for me, I'm going to go with who I think it should be, and it should be Stephanie Vaquer.
Agreed. Julia has a championship. There's no reason why she's in this match.
Yep.
So yeah, I kind of agree with that. But yeah, I think Vaquer makes the most sense to me because she is the next big star. I think they're looking to push her quite quickly. And say hypothetically, it's Io Sky or it's Rhea Ripley at Clash in Paris. My goodness, what a match we'll be looking forward to.
Rhea Ripley for Stephanie Vaquer at Clash in Paris. My God, that is that's money. That
is even Io Sky versus Vaquer is money. I know we've seen it before once, but was not conclusive.
We all want Ripley Vaquer, really.
We'll find out. We need to predict that match later in the stream, but they'd have to get through SummerSlam as well, so there is still a bit of time. I want to ask a couple of more questions though, just before we move on. Firstly, would Nikki Bella make any sense to win this? She main evented the first Evolution. If she's going to have a little bit of a run after this and the Liv Morgan story's off the table, it could be name value as well to try and send out a show in Paris as well. Do you think it could be good business for a Nikki Bella title match at this stage?
Look, ultimately, if you're going to bring the Bellas back, I want them in that tag team division, and that's it. If you're going to put something on them, be it tag team gold. Nikki Bella, yeah, sure, she has draw, but for me, if you're asking me if I want to see Nikki Bella versus Rhea Ripley or Stephanie Vaquer versus Rhea Ripley, there's obvious winners to this. There's levels to this game. Unfortunately, Nikki Bella is not on the level of some of these wrestlers nowadays, and there's no disrespect. The women's wrestling has just evolved so much that Nikki Bella had her period. For the period of time she was wrestling week in, week out, fantastic. But the levels are different now, and I don't think Nikki Bella is on that level. And if you're going to put her in the ring against an Io Sky, for example, Io Sky walks all over all day. And let's be honest, we all want a 50-50 match. We all want the possibility of thinking that this person or this person could walk out with that championship. And for me, like I said, I think the levels are just too different now. Whereas Nikki Bella, bring Brie Mode back, and you know what I mean, put them tag team titles on them. Look, it's as tale as old as time, those two winning a tag team championship.
Certainly is indeed. We want to see them win the tag titles. I'm with you. I can see from a marketing value, but I like you say, Nikki Bella, someone's paved the way, and the levels have just gone sky through the sky now at this point with how talented this women's division is. It's time to push someone new, someone fresh, which is why we went with Stephanie Vaquer. You mentioned Paige. Is there any other surprises you could see potentially happening here? Any past legends, anyone like that?
I mean, I wouldn't be against Michelle McCall. I know she's getting up in age, but Michelle McCall has Michelle McCall. Every time I've seen her since she's sort of made guest appearances in Rumbles and stuff, has always been solid. So I wouldn't say no to Michelle McCall being in it. Like I said, a TNA superstar, whoever that would be, whether it's say Ash by Elegance or whether it's I forget the young lady's name. She was former Knockouts champion, and her name just completely skips my head now. But yeah, there's a couple in TNA I wouldn't be against seeing. The only other thing is like Alita maybe, but again, these are pure. Paige and Lita are pure pop reactions. Like you want the crowd to pop for that entrance music, and I think the biggest one out of them is Paige, because Paige has. That she hasn't been in WWE for the longest time, but that if she has her old NXT WWE music play, crowd will go mad for it.
Agreed. They will go mad for it. I have one I think I won't get a pop, and it's from TNA as well. The Inspiration.
A great shout, Cassie Lee, and and I forget the other one's name because
Jessica McKay.
Jacy McKay, yeah, that's it. Yeah, sorry, because my memory sucks. Yeah, that's a great shout as well, because they'll get a huge pop if they put a sharp in Evolution.
It would be amazing to see them make a return. I'll tell you what, we'll move on in the meantime. We've both gone for Stephanie Vaquer. So we're going to move on now to a grudge match, a WrestleMania rematch as well. Jade Cargill versus Naomi. This one will be no holds barred. And of course, both of these have some big accolades since WrestleMania. Jade Cargill, current queen of the ring. And of course, Naomi, current Miss Women's Money in the Bank. Yeah, Jade wants to end this once and for all, basically, it seems to be, because Naomi keeps getting involved backstage with stuff going on with her. And this one has continued since WrestleMania. And I'm not sure it's finished here, if I'm going to be honest, but I'm gonna be quick with this one. Going for Jade Cargill to pick up the victory.
Naomi holding that briefcase, she can take all the losses in the world. It won't mean a blind bit of difference, because ultimately I believe Naomi's going to be successful, cash in and win a title. And yeah, she can lose to Jade all day long. It's not going to do her any harm. The idea, I believe, is that Jade at some point will be in a championship match and Naomi will ultimately cost her that title, or even Bianca. There is a lot of story to come out of this. It's been going on since January, since after the Rumble. So yeah, there's loads of time for this one to play out. But yeah, I think Jade wins this. Jade needs some more wins. I know people have been giving her a load of stick online for how green she still is. Again, someone who's been in the wrestling business 3 or 4 years. I think she just needs to get some solid wins behind her, get a couple of dubs, and I think this is one of them.
Yep, I think this is one of them as well. And like I said, I'm not sure this is the last time these two face each other. I've got a little prediction coming. You may know where I'm going with this already.
Go for it.
Let's move on to the next match then, shall we? And obviously, got to pick your challenger for this one, for the WWE Women's Championship. So Tiffany Stratton chose former tag team partner from Elimination Chamber earlier this year, Trish Stratus, of course, a legend. Stratisfaction guaranteed. Thank you, Trish. It's good to have her back. Was it needed in this spot here, or was it just fun nostalgia? I mean, how do you feel with this?
Like you said, who else was there? Because apparently, being champion, you're allowed to pick your opponent. This is you said it at the start. This is about women's wrestling, the evolution of women's wrestling, and this is the female equivalent to WrestleMania, I suppose. And your two champions get to pick their opponents. Just kind of is a bit lackluster. Look, I'm never against seeing Trish on TV, but I honestly can't see Trish winning. I believe Tiffany retains. It just feels like half-assed. I think there's obviously probably a bigger story to come out of it, whether someone cashes in on it, I don't know. But I just think that this is a thrown-together match that I'm just expecting to go one way.
You just said what I think may happen. I think Tiffany's going to retain over Trish. I think it's... Do you know what I will say? I'm going to be nice about it. I think it's going to be a fun match. I think it's going to be a good match.
Absolutely.
Trish still can go, and Tiffany puts on great matches. I'm sure these two have great chemistry in ring, and Trish likes to work with the best of today, and she gets to here. I think it's good for what it is. I don't think it says much for the rest of the SmackDown side of the division, but although we have not got Bianca Belair competing right now, but I'm not sure I don't want to see another Nia Jax match. Put it that way. We've seen enough Tiffany Nia Jax, so in that way, I'm happy. It's refreshing. However, I would have preferred someone else be in this spot. But I think the match will be decent. I think Tiffany's going to tweak something in this match, and I would not be surprised if Naomi cashes in and is successful on Tiffany Stratton. I think the Naomi Jade match will be early in the evening. But the thing is, how bad is a no-holds-barred match? We'll have to determine on the night, because if it's too bad, then Naomi probably won't be cashing in. Some would suggest maybe the best idea would be if Jade Cargill just won the title and then cash in. But I'm going to predict here that Tiffany will tweak something. I think Naomi will cash in. I think Naomi will win the title. We'll find a way to retain against Tiffany on a SmackDown, which means we'll get Jade versus Naomi at SummerSlam. And I think that the reason Naomi retains at SummerSlam is because Bianca Belair will return and help her.
Dude, it's a great shout. Obviously, narrative has to be a key part of this one, because there are so many... This is a bit of a tricky one, because, like you said, if you have Jade win the no holds barred match, Naomi then comes out. Jade, I suppose, Naomi then cashes in. Jade then kind of has a leg to stand on to be like, look, I've beaten you. I'm going to beat you again for that championship. The only problem is, I think with a lot of it is the results are very foreshadowing if it goes that way. Like, you're expecting Jade and Naomi to have a match. Naomi's going to retain. There's no way Naomi's going to lose it in her first title defense. I presume Tiffany will get a rematch at some point. Again, Naomi should win that. But yeah, it makes the results a bit too predictable. So hopefully there's something in there just to mix it up to make it a little bit less predictable. I don't know.
We'll have to wait and see. Match order makes a big difference on this, by the way, because if I'm predicting it and Trish and Tiffany kick off the show, then Naomi ain't cashing in. Like, that's Naomi may attempt it, but then Jay can block it off and it's match 2. Do you know what I mean? So I think match order is a big thing on whether that prediction can come in or not. And the way I see if that prediction comes true is if, say, for example, Cargill and Naomi is match 2 or match 1 on the show, and Tiffany versus Trish is one of the final 2 matches on the show. Otherwise, I'm not sure that it plays out. But yeah, either way, Tiffany to retain.
Yeah, agreed.
There we go. We're going to move on then in the meantime from one champion that could pick their challenger to another. Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship. Now, of course, Rhea has never defeated Io Sky in a singles match. Perhaps that's why Io chose her. I don't know, but she wants to face the best nonetheless. We have seen their match in the Mae Young Classic. We've seen it, of course, in NXT for the NXT Women's Championship, also as well earlier this year on Monday Night Raw, and of course WrestleMania, where Io retained the championship as well. That match was a triple threat match with Bianca Belair, arguably the match of WrestleMania. But yeah, obviously, Io has picked Rhea Ripley one more time here. And Rhea's pretty much said, well, you asked for this. So I think the question is, what has Io asked for? Has she asked for an easy retain, or is the title changing hands?
As much as I think Rhea should win this, I think Io needs the win. Because, I mean, what's the win-loss record between these two? Is it all Rhea?
It is, no, Io has won every singles match.
Oh, was Io one every? Oh, okay. My apologies then. I'm going the other way. I'm going Rhea Ripley winning this one, because Rhea Ripley needs this win then, because, yeah, I thought it was the other way around, and I thought it was all Io. Yeah, but oh, no, yeah, I'm going to go Rhea Ripley then. Yeah, I just think that, look, like you just said, there's a history of Io beating Rhea, and it's almost like the narrative that they've played out, that Rhea saying that you chose this. I think Rhea has to walk away with this one. My only worry with this title is ultimately who's next. Who faces the fight? Who's the next heel in line? Because who's the biggest heel in the women's locker room on Raw at the minute? Because I haven't got a clue.
I mean, it would have been Liv Morgan. It's not now. It's probably Raquel. It's probably Raquel and Roxanne.
Yeah, maybe that could play into them losing the tag team titles. I don't know, maybe. But look, I think Rhea's going to win it. I think Rhea's going to have a solid run with it. They need to do something for because obviously SummerSlam's coming up and it's the first 2 night. They need to do something special with it. I don't see where the direction is going forward, and it kind of makes this one probably the hardest to choose because I've got nothing going forward for her. So yeah, I'm just going to say Rhea Ripley wins this one.
I think Rhea Ripley wins this one. I think they will do this match one more time at SummerSlam with a stipulation. For example, a straight up ladder match could be quite fun with these two. That would be a fun stipulation to do. But yeah, I think that's what they'll do. They'll do a singles match here. We'll get a rubber match at SummerSlam because then it's kind of like they've had 3 singles matches this year, both have won 1 match each. That way, Rhea Ripley can go on to take on Stephanie Vaquer at Clash in Paris. And I hate to say this for Stephanie Vaquer fans, I think Rhea Ripley will win that, and she will go for the Crown Jewel Championship in Australia in October.
Yeah, that sounds pretty much what's going to happen. Yeah, I just realised who technically could be top heel in Raw is one Becky Lynch if she loses that IC title. So Becky Rhea's not a bad shout for going forward as well. So that could be something to look forward to. So yeah, even Bayley, Bayley almost seems to still be a bit heelish, but I think Becky, I reckon's got to be next in line then. So Becky versus Io or Becky versus Rhea. I think Becky versus Rhea might be the bigger draw in terms of name value. But either way, Becky versus one of those two is still going to be a quality match. So yeah, but yeah, I'm still going to stick with Rhea.
I think Rhea as well. It seems to make the most sense here.
Yeah.
You mentioned Becky Lynch. We have 1 match left to talk about. And I said at the start of the stream, this is my main event, ladies and gentlemen. Might not be the main event. It's my main event. For the Women's Intercontinental Championship, Becky Lynch defending against Lyra Valkyria and Bayley in a triple threat match. This is going to be a lot of fun because, well, this started at WrestleMania. Little did we know. Of course, Bayley and Lyra Valkyria were going to challenge for the Women's Tag Team Championships, but Bayley was taken out before WrestleMania. A lot of people thought it was Liv and Raquel Rodriguez. It turned out there was one returning Becky Lynch. We just didn't know it on the night. The man got a massive pop to win the Women's Tag Team titles with Lyra, only to lose them the following night on Raw back to Liv and Raquel. Of course, that sparked a heel turn from Becky Lynch, turning on Lyra Valkyria. Of course, it was the Women's Intercontinental Champion at the time. They've had a program for the last few months. Lyra picking up a victory at Backlash, but Becky Lynch winning the IC title at Money in the Bank. After that, Bayley made a return and made a play to go for the Women's IC title and get revenge on Becky Lynch. She got herself a championship opportunity on Monday Night Raw. Of course, Lyra Valkyria was the reason that Becky won the match. If I'm not mistaken, that was a no contest, DQ, that kind of style of finish. From this point onwards, both Bayley and Lyra wanted to have a championship match against Becky Lynch. They fell out with each other as well in the process, and Adam Pearce decided that the best way to make a number 1 contender was to have a match between Bayley and Lyra, which they did. That finished with a double pinfall, which Becky Lynch said that was a conspiracy against her. Good heel work from Becky. Of course, this led then to no choice being left from Adam Pearce. We got a triple threat match announced for Evolution, which, let's be honest, feels like it's the big match. It feels like it's the blow-off. You would imagine, unless there is one singles match left at SummerSlam for one of these two ladies against Becky Lynch, but time will tell. First off, this is the match that has had pretty much the only real build going into Evolution and has had heat the whole way through it. I'm most looking forward to this match. I am excited for this match, and I can see all possibilities of how this can play out.
Yeah, definitely one of the hardest ones to call, just for the fact that you can see all 3. I can see all 3 of these winning this. Lara winning, getting a win over Becky and Bayley would be a massive for her in her build and her moving up the card into a main event or going forward. Bayley, it's almost like a justification for being taken out at WrestleMania and just being in this scene and elevating the IC title, putting the IC title on Becky and now Bayley would just be a way to elevate the IC title in itself. Just Becky winning it and retaining it as well is exactly the same as Bayley, but obviously I think Becky's probably the bigger heel out of the two of them, I would say.
Absolutely, yeah. There's been question marks put over Bayley's judgment now, but the fact that she's no longer putting friends first, it's almost like now she is just like Becky. But let's be honest, I don't think that's quite the case here at this point. I will dive in first with a prediction for this one because I tried to have a think about where I think this will go. And if I'm being honest, I'd like Lyra to walk away at the end of all of this as Women's Intercontinental Champion, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think Lyra's had her turn with the IC title for about 6 months. She did a fantastic job. I think Becky's retaining here, and I think she's going to pin Lyra one more time. And I think that's going to lead to Becky versus Bayley at SummerSlam, because that will be seen as arguably, I don't like saying it, but it's the bigger draw match, and it also plays off WrestleMania where Bayley was the one taken out. Lyra's been around. We've seen them match a bundle. We don't need to see it at SummerSlam. So I think Lynch versus Bayley happens at SummerSlam. And you said how big it would be for Bayley to have that name with her name with the IC title. I think Bayley missing at WrestleMania gets her moment at SummerSlam. So I think Bayley will win the IC title at SummerSlam. However, for that to happen, Lynch needs to win here. And to get Lyra out of the picture, Lyra needs to be the one to take the fall.
Yeah, I mean, my brain's still going back to Becky being top heel. So I'm kind of like, my brain is trying to work out how I can justify picking Bayley as the winner, and then maybe doing Bayley versus Lyra at SummerSlam, because I wouldn't want to see Lyra miss the card. And I think if they're trying to build her as a star, putting her on that SummerSlam card against Bayley would just be another achievement for her, being on at WrestleMania, then going on to SummerSlam. But I think you're right. I think Becky, as much as I want Becky versus Rhea at SummerSlam, Becky versus Bayley, it's the more appealing match just for the pure fact that these two have such a history together, you know, being part of the 4 Horsewomen, both coming up from NXT roughly at the same time. I know Becky was a few months after Bayley, but Bayley was a few months after Becky, but yeah, I mean, I'm going to say Becky retains as well. I just worry what they'll do with Lyra going forward, because I don't know, unless there's a change up in the rosters, maybe, and she goes over to SmackDown, or the US title is brought over to Raw, whatever. That might be an option for Lyra going forward. But yeah, you swung me, and I'm going to say Becky retains as well.
Yeah, I think Becky retains, and just to give you something to hold on to, I think Lyra will eventually take that title from Bayley. I think they will have a feud after Becky Lynch comes out of the scene. She'll move up to Rhea Ripley, and I think, yeah, then you'll get yourself Bayley versus Lyra. Before you probably get a Stephanie Vaquer maybe go in and try and win the title before the end of the year as well, unless Vaquer is still white hot and she ends up in the women's championship scene coming in WrestleMania season. You never know at this stage. But yeah, that's pretty much our predictions for Evolution for 2025. Any final words, any final thoughts before we wrap things up here today?
Like I said, it should be a good show. I'm looking forward to it. It's I don't have the greatest memories of Evolution 1, so I'm going to try and enjoy this one a lot more. Like, I obviously remember Evolution, but I think this one, I think the card sounds better on this one, so I'm looking forward to seeing some quality. And yeah, man, hopefully, like, maybe at some point next week we can do a review of it. Who knows?
Absolutely, indeed, yeah. But hopefully we can try and do a bit of a Evolution bash,
Backlash, American Bash review, yeah.
And also Saturday night's main event. So yeah,
Q&A.
There's a lot of shows to cover. There's a lot of predictions to come out. And for those that have enjoyed this one, well, good news is you've not got to wait along for the next one. Great American Bash is starting in 9 minutes time. Myself and Steve going to be joined in-house as well from our local establishment. Ed Fries and hopefully Astrid Bizarro will be in the hot seat with us as well. Tino's time in the chat. Good to see you. Tino says, "Oh, baby, we back." He says, "Looking fresh." I'm not sure which Steve is talking about. Hopefully he's talking about me, but Steve could be talking about you. You never know. We're both looking fresh. We're both feeling good. So it's good to be back and doing content again. And Tino, it's good to see you as well, my friend. But if you've missed any predictions, you can feel free to skip to the start of this as well and check it through. If you're watching on delay, thank you for watching us and enjoying. Hit the like button, share with friends, subscribe as well. Leave any questions in the comments below that you would like to about anything pro wrestling and especially about Evolution as well. Take care. Look after yourselves. We'll see you for the next one.